Alright friends, welcome back to Why and How for 5th week up to 5th February. Look at the first one. India Post Payments Bank started bank's pilot operations in Raipur and Ranchi. India Post Payments Bank, this is categorized as a differentiated bank, and please don't forget Airtel Payments Bank is the first one to start operations, and now India Post Payments Bank started pilot operations in Raipur and Ranchi, and the bank will have 650 branches, one in each district by September 2017, and each bank will be connected to the post offices in the district. And for payment banks, please don't forget the maximum limit is up to rupees 1 lakh deposit, right? They cannot issue credit cards, they can issue debit cards, and payment banks are basically for the purpose of remittances, or you can say money transfers. Then look at the second one. International Labour Organization or ILO, it stated that robots may soon take over millions of jobs in ASEAN region. Here two things I would like to tell you. International Labour Organization, this is Geneva based organization, started in 1919, and it looks at labor issues. Recently it has conducted some study in ASEAN region, and it stated that disruptive technologies, especially robotics, automation, cloud, Internet of Things, are going to take away millions of jobs in future. This is going to be reality across the world in future because of disruptive technologies like robotics, automation, cloud and Internet of Things. Look at the third point. More than 530 firms came under the scanner of government for violating corporate social responsibility norms. Here you should learn something about what is meant by corporate social responsibility, popularly known as CSR. CSR means corporate social responsibility, and this is as per Companies Act 2013. Here certain class of profitable entities, profitable companies are required to spend at least 2% of their last 3 years average annual net profit. For the past 3 years, average annual net profit for the past 3 years, at least the companies are required to spend 2% on corporate social responsibility activities. You may have a doubt what is meant by corporate social responsibility activities. Please look into this picture. Establishing schools, establishing hospitals, then public toilets, all these things, issues connected with social aspects, they comes under corporate social responsibility activities. So if someone talks about how much percentage is to be spent on CSR, it is 2%. Please don't forget. Look at the next issue. India Meteorological Department, this decided to set up weather stations in 660 districts of the country in a phased manner by 2019. Here I would like to tell you 2-3 important aspects. One is India Meteorological Department. This is under Ministry of Earth Sciences. This is very important. Second point is it tied up with the Ministry of Agriculture to use Krishi Vignan Kendras. These Krishi Vignan Kendras are normally in the district headquarters, basically to disseminate knowledge with regard to agricultural operations. This Krishi Vignan Kendras, now India Meteorological Department and Krishi Vignan Kendras will come together, or you can say IMD will have tie-up with Krishi Vignan Kendras in districts. Basically, these Krishi Vignan Kendras will be used as weather forecasting observatories. Weather forecasting observatories, that means in future every district will have weather forecasting observatory, and it will track temperature, wind velocity, humidity and rains. These things please don't forget. Economic Survey 2016-17. Two things I would like to tell you. Economic Survey is authored by Chief Economic Advisor and it is tabled in the Parliament by the Union Finance Minister. And here, as per this Economic Survey, it stated that the impact of demonetization will be 1/4 percentage point to 1/2 percentage point as far as reduction in GDP is concerned. And the impact will be more on informal sector. This is very important point. And I have listed various aspects concerning important highlights of Economic Survey. And I will explain you most important of them. The first one is GDP growth forecast for 2016-17, that means for the current financial year, is pegged at 6.5% to 6.75%, 6.5 to 6.75%. And last year, if you compare, the growth was 7.6, but now revised to 7.9. So, in comparison to the revised growth rate of 7.9% last year, this year, the current financial year will have GDP growth of just 6.5 to 6.75%, and next financial year, that is 2017-18, it's going to be 6.75% to 7.5%. These figures are important because sometimes questions may be asked with regard to what is the growth rate as per Economic Survey during the current year and the next year. If you look at other salient features, oil prices are likely to rise by 1/6 during the next financial year. And another important aspect is, as I have already told you, two things are mentioned in Economic Survey. One is Public Sector Asset Rehabilitation Agency or PARA. Second one is concept of universal basic income was discussed, but it has got several implementation challenges as per the Economic Survey. And another important aspect is debt to GDP ratio was around 69%. And please don't forget N.K. Singh committee, who was constituted to look at the various aspects of FRBM Act 2003, stated that total debt to GDP ratio must be limited to 60%. Total debt to GDP ratio must be limited to 60% as per N.K. Singh committee report. At present, total debt to GDP ratio is around 69%. Look at the next one. A legislation was introduced in US House of Representatives. Before understanding this, you should have clear idea about what is the lower house in United States of America. The lower house is House of Representatives, the upper house is Senate. Lower house is House of Representatives and the upper house is the Senate. Both put together, it is US Congress. And please don't forget, US is Presidential Constitutional Republic. India is Parliamentary Republic, whereas United States of America is Presidential Constitutional Republic. Let us come back to the news item. This news item says that a legislation was introduced in US House of Representatives which calls for increasing minimum salary of H-1B visa holders from $60,000 to $130,000. And with this, Indian software companies are going to be affected. That means when the firms are to replace American employees with the foreign workers, the minimum pay threshold once this is passed will be $130,000. At present, $60,000 is the limit and it is increased to $130,000. That means it may not be that easy in future to replace American workers and engage Indian workers, because when Indian workers are engaged, their minimum salary should be $130,000 per annum. Right? So, it will have effect on the profit and loss of this software firms of India. Look into the next issue. Union government proposed rupees 2000 ceiling on cash donation by any individual to a political party. We have discussed several times. As per budget, two important aspects. One is, at present cash limit is rupees 20,000. It is proposed to be brought down to rupees 2000. Another innovative concept is electoral bonds will be issued by the government by making certain amendments to RBI Act, and details with regard to electoral bonds are not made available, and government is yet to give various aspects of electoral bonds, and these two important things were announced in budget. Cash donation will be reduced from 20,000 to 2,000 and electoral bonds will be issued. Affordable housing is given infrastructure status. 2-3 important things I would like to tell you. What is the meaning of getting infrastructure status? When something, some project, or you can say when some sector is given infrastructure status, then there are several benefits to that sector. I have listed out here. They will be eligible for many government tax and subsidy incentives. They will be eligible for various incentives given by the government, and funding will be at affordable rates for low cost houses. Funding will be affordable. That means the funding for affordable housing projects will be available at lesser interest rates. That is one advantage. Second advantage is they will get sometimes tax incentives, sometimes subsidies. So, when infrastructure status is given to some sector, it will have positive effect on the overall economy, and more than that, the need of the people will be met, because several people in urban areas are suffering because of lack of proper housing. Then another important aspect is National Housing Bank. National Housing Bank is a 100% owned subsidiary of Reserve Bank of India, and this will refinance individual housing loans up to rupees 20,000 crore. This is another announcement in the budget, and this please don't forget from examination perspective. Then third point is, previously for the definition of affordable housing, 30 square meters as well as 60 square meters depending on the city, 30 square meters and 60 square meters, and now previously it was built up area, it is now changed to carpet area. It is now changed to carpet area. There is a lot of difference between built up area and carpet area, right? So these three changes, one is 20,000 crore individual housing loans will be refinanced by National Housing Bank, basically to give boost to the housing sector. Then second thing is, this affordable housing got infrastructure status. Third thing is, instead of built up area, it will be carpet area. Look at the next one. Union budget gave special emphasis for Pradhanmantri Awas Yojana. And I would like to tell you 2 points. Pradhanmantri Awas Yojana Gramin, Pradhanmantri Awas Yojana Urban. There are 2 elements. Pradhanmantri Awas Yojana Gramin is looked after by Ministry of Rural Development, and Pradhanmantri Awas Yojana Urban is looked after by Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, and government is giving more emphasis for housing, because government's goal is housing for all by 2022, and I have listed various points here. Pradhanmantri Awas Yojana Urban was launched in 2015 to target 20 million houses for urban poor by 2022. As I have already told you, National Housing Bank will refinance up to rupees 20,000 crores of loans to individual housings. Then another important aspect is, affordable housing was brought under infrastructure status, and as Prime Minister announced on 31st evening, this loans up to rupees 9 lakh will get interest subvention of 4%, and up to rupees 12 lakh will get interest subvention of 3% as announced by the Prime Minister. So, this interest subvention or interest subsidy will be borne by the central government and ultimately burden on the people will be reduced. This 4% interest subvention up to rupees 9 lakh and 3% interest subvention up to rupees 12 lakhs. So, there are several steps to boost housing in the union budget. Look at the next one. This is N.K. Singh Committee. Previously, we deliberated about N.K. Singh Committee. Basically, this N.K. Singh Committee was established to review FRBM Act of 2003. To review FRBM Act of 2003, N.K. Singh Committee was established, and as per FRBM Act of 2003, fiscal deficit is limited to 3% of GDP. Fiscal deficit is limited to 3% of GDP. And now, N.K. Singh Committee stated that government's debt is to be compared with GDP, government's public debt. And please don't forget, fiscal deficit pertaining to 1 year, that means government's borrowings and other liabilities for 1 year, and these go on accumulating. This fiscal deficit, or you can say borrowings, will go on accumulating year after year, and altogether it is known as public debt. And N.K. Singh Committee came up with public debt to GDP ratio. In the country, N.K. Singh Committee came up with a proposal: public debt to GDP ratio should be 60% by 2023. At present, it is around 68%. So, in future, if N.K. Singh Committee recommendations are accepted, more than fiscal deficit, we have to think about total debt to GDP ratio, and it is to be limited to 60% by 2023. At present, it is around 68%, and if the recommendations are accepted, future debt to GDP ratio will be restricted to 60%, 40% by the center, and 20% for the state governments put together. Look at the next one. Union Budget announced the setting up of National Testing Agency. You may have a doubt. What is meant by National Testing Agency? National Testing Agency will look at conducting tests for admissions to higher education institutions in the country. For conducting tests to higher education institutions, this National Testing Agency is proposed in the budget, and in future it will eliminate number of entrance examinations, number of boards. Look into the next one. Central government will unveil Aadhaar based smart cards for senior citizens, which will contain health details. Basically here, this pilot project will be done in 15 districts during 2017-18, and government also proposes to introduce a merchant version of Aadhaar enabled payment system, which is known as Aadhaar Pay. Aadhaar Pay is nothing but merchant version of Aadhaar enabled payment system. And if someone talks about Aadhaar based smart cards for senior citizens, which are proposed in the union budget, basically it will be a pilot project to contain health details of senior citizens. Then union budget 2017-18 proposed to abolish Foreign Investment Promotion Board. Don't forget about two organizations, Foreign Investment Promotion Board. This is under the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance. Basically, it looks at the proposals, individual FDI proposals up to rupees 5,000 crore. FIPB looks at individual FDI proposals up to rupees 5,000 crore, and it looks at the proposals when FDI has to come through government approval route. When FDI is through automatic route, nobody else approval is required, and nowadays more than 90% of FDI is coming through automatic route, and the government felt that FIPB is no more required because more and more FDI is coming through automatic route. So it is the right decision as far as FIPB dissolution is concerned. And another important aspect is various proposals, various rules and regulations with regard to FDI are announced by DIPP or Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. These things please don't forget. Look at the next one. There is a highest ever allocation of rupees 48,000 crore for Mahatma Gandhi Narega in Union Budget 2017-18. Basically, this is started by UPA government in 2005, Mahatma Gandhi Narega, and it guarantees 100 days of wages in a financial year for adults willing to take up unskilled manual work, right? And the works taken up include water harvesting, drought relief, and flood control as preferred activities. And when you look at this Mahatma Gandhi Narega, one important aspect as per the budget speech, please don't forget, government will go for geotagging of all the assets in the public domain. Geotagging of all the works undertaken under Mahatma Gandhi Narega will be kept in public domain. Geotagging basically will help track the location and development status of various works undertaken under Mahatma Gandhi Narega. And for this purpose, another important aspect I would like to tell you, Bhuvan will be used. This is a web-based application developed by ISRO. Bhuvan, web-based application developed by ISRO, will be used for geotagging of various Mahatma Gandhi Narega assets. Look into the next one. Union Finance Minister proposed integration of public sector oil majors. In the world, some of the largest oil majors are ExxonMobil, Shell, then British Petroleum, then Saudi Aramco. These are globally reputed and some of the largest petroleum companies. And government in the budget stated that it will create an integrated public sector oil major by merging existing entities. And please look into this. Oil firms are categorized as upstream oil firms, downstream oil firms. Upstream oil firms like ONGC, Oil India, GAIL, they are basically involved in exploration and extraction of oil. Exploration and extraction of crude oil, that is upstream oil firms, and downstream oil firms are basically the oil firms which are involved in refining crude petroleum and making it into petrol, diesel and subsequent distribution. And examples are Indian Oil, Hindustan Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum. And what are the advantages I have given here? But there are some disadvantages also as stated by the critics. We will discuss sometime later. Advantages, I have given two advantages here. Basically with integration, higher risk can be borne because petroleum exploration involves several risks. So it will enhance the capacity of oil PSUs to bear higher risks as exploration of oil involves higher risks. Second point is it will give more bargaining power if the organization is bigger, because we import almost 70% to 80% of petroleum products, and it will give more leverage for Indian firms to ensure more and more bargaining from foreign companies for less and less crude price. Next one is for the safety of railway passengers, Rashtriya Rail Sanraksha Kosh will be created with a corpus of rupees 1 lakh crore over a period of 5 years. 2-3 things I would like to tell you. One is in the union budget, it was announced that rupees 1 lakh crore corpus will be created to increase the safety of railway operations, and this is known as Rashtriya Rail Sanraksha Kosh. That is one part. Second part is total capital and development expenditure of railways for 2017-18 is kept at rupees 1.31 lakh crore. And two more important points I would like to tell you. All the trains will be fitted with bio toilets by 2019. Bio toilets means the toilets discharge will not fall onto the tracks, right? So, bio toilets will be fitted in all the trains by 2019. And second important point is all the unmanned level crossings on broad gauge lines will be eliminated by 2020 to prevent accidents. There will not be any level crossing on all the broad gauge lines by 2020, and all the trains will be fitted with bio toilets by 2019. Next one, Niti Aayog and CII jointly launched India Innovation Index. India Innovation Index. In addition to this, country's first innovation index portal was also launched, and this was developed with Niti Aayog DIPP in consultation with the World Economic Forum WIPO Cornell University. And here the objective is to rank Indian states based on innovation. Look at the last one. Union Budget proposed creation of 6-member Payments Regulatory Board in RBI. Now, separate Payments Regulatory Board will be created, and ex officio chairperson will be RBI Governor, and ultimate goal is small payments regulation and control will be taken out of Reserve Bank of India in due course of time. And please don't forget, for monitoring all the payments, there is one Payment and Settlement Systems Act 2007. Payment and Settlement Systems Act 2007 is there. This monitors all the payments, and in future these activities will be separated from Reserve Bank of India in due course of time. Some of the small payments activities will be separated in due course of time. Right friends, we came to the end of why and how. So, please do join for editorial discussions as well as comprehension ability discussions and facts and figures. Have a nice day. Thank you. Thanks a lot.